Every single person listening to this has already quit on something that could have changed their entire life. And most of you did it within the last 12 months. You gave up on that business idea after the first rejection. You stopped learning that new skill after it got difficult. You abandoned that relationship after the first real fight. You threw away that dream after someone laughed at it. The devastating truth is that you were probably closer to breakthrough than you realized. But you'll never know because you chose comfort over commitment. While you were quitting, someone else with half your talent and twice your persistence was claiming the success that should have been yours. There comes a moment in every person's life when the mountain looks too high to climb, when the dream seems too big to achieve, when every voice around you whispers that maybe it's time to give up. But what if I told you that this exact moment, this precise point where most people turn around and walk away, is actually your greatest opportunity right now? As you listen to these words, there are millions of people around the world who are one decision away from extraordinary success. They have worked hard, they have sacrificed, they have pushed through countless obstacles. But they are standing at that critical crossroads where the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is measured not in talent, not in luck, not in circumstances, but in one simple quality: the absolute refusal to quit. You see, success is not about being the smartest person in the room. It's not about having the most money, the best connections, or the perfect circumstances. Success belongs to the person who outlasts everyone else. Success belongs to the person who gets knocked down 7 times and gets up 8. Success belongs to the person who never quits. Let me share with you a truth that will change your life forever. The average person uses only 40% of their true potential. Think about that for a moment. 40%. That means 60% of your abilities, your talents, your possibilities are sitting there unused, waiting for you to tap into them. But here's the catch. You only access that remaining 60% when you push beyond the point where you want to quit. Most people give up right at the moment when they are about to break through. They give up when they are 3 feet from gold. They stop digging just before they hit the vein that would change their entire life. This is not a coincidence. This is how life tests you. Life asks you one simple question: how badly do you want it? The construction worker who dreams of starting his own business quits after his first customer complains. The artist who wants to make a living from her passion gives up after her 10th rejection. The student who wants to change careers stops trying after failing the entrance exam twice. They all quit right before the breakthrough was about to happen. But what about those who don't quit? What about those who keep going when everyone else stops? They discover something magical. They learn that persistence has a compound effect. Every day you don't quit, you become stronger. Every obstacle you overcome makes you more capable of handling the next one. Every time you push through when you want to give up, you build what I call your persistence muscle. Think about water dripping on a rock. One drop doesn't make any difference. Neither does the second drop, or the third, or even the 100th. But keep that water dripping, and eventually it will carve a canyon through the hardest stone. Your consistent effort, your refusal to quit, is like that water. It seems small and insignificant day by day, but over time, it becomes an unstoppable force. The person who never quits develops a different relationship with failure. While others see failure as a stop sign, the persistent person sees it as a detour sign. While others see setbacks as permanent, the persistent person sees them as temporary. While others count their losses, the persistent person counts their lessons. I want you to understand something crucial. Every single person who has achieved anything significant in life has wanted to quit at some point. The entrepreneur whose business now employs thousands wanted to quit during those first months when no one would buy his product. The athlete who now holds world records wanted to quit during those early morning training sessions when her body screamed for rest. The writer whose books inspire millions wanted to quit after receiving her 15th rejection letter. The only difference between those who achieved their dreams and those who didn't is that the successful ones never acted on the feeling of wanting to quit. They felt it. Oh, they felt it deeply, but they didn't let that feeling control their actions. This is where the magic happens. When you commit to never quitting, you access a power that most people never discover. You tap into reserves of strength, creativity, and determination that you didn't even know existed. You begin to find solutions where others see only problems. You start to see opportunities where others see only obstacles. But here's what's even more powerful. When you become the person who never quits, you don't just change your own life. You become a beacon of hope for everyone around you. Your persistence inspires others to persist. Your refusal to give up gives others permission to keep going when they want to quit. The person who never quits becomes unstoppable, not because they never face obstacles, but because they have made a fundamental decision about who they are. They have decided that quitting is simply not an option. They have burned the bridges behind them. They have committed to finding a way or making one. But this is your moment. Right here, right now, you can make that same decision. You can choose to become the person who never quits. You can decide that no matter what happens, no matter how difficult things get, no matter how many times you get knocked down, you will keep going. The mountain is still there. The dream is still big. The voices of doubt are still whispering. But now you know the secret that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Now you know that persistence is not just about not giving up. It's about accessing the unlimited power that lies dormant within you, waiting for you to refuse to quit. Your journey to becoming unstoppable starts with this simple truth. You have more strength than you know, more talent than you've used, and more potential than you've ever imagined. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is your willingness to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. Now that you understand the power of persistence, let's examine what really happens inside your mind when you face the urge to quit. Because here's what most people don't realize. Quitting is not a weakness of character. It's a biological response that your brain has developed to protect you from what it perceives as danger. Your brain is designed for survival, not for success. When you push yourself beyond what feels comfortable, when you face rejection, when you encounter obstacles, your brain sounds the alarm. It tells you to retreat, to stay safe, to avoid the pain. This is why quitting feels so natural, so reasonable, so logical in the moment. Your own mind is convincing you that giving up is the smart thing to do. But successful people have learned to recognize this voice for what it really is, not wisdom, but fear dressed up as common sense. They understand that their brain is not their friend when it comes to achieving extraordinary results. Their brain wants them to stay exactly where they are, doing exactly what they've always done, getting exactly the same results they've always gotten. The quitter's mind operates on a simple principle: avoid pain at all costs. When things get difficult, the quitter's mind immediately starts looking for escape routes. It begins to rationalize. It says things like, maybe this isn't meant to be, or perhaps I should be more realistic, or I don't want to look foolish. These thoughts sound reasonable, but they're actually fear-talking. The persistent mind operates on a completely different principle. Pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. The persistent mind has learned to reframe difficulty not as a signal to stop, but as a signal that they are getting closer to their goal. The persistent mind knows that the moment you want to quit is precisely the moment you need to keep going. Let me tell you about Thomas, a man I met several years ago. Thomas had started 7 different businesses, and every one of them had failed. 7 times he had invested his savings, worked 18-hour days, sacrificed time with his family, only to watch his dreams crumble. 7 times his mind screamed at him to stop, to get a regular job, to accept that entrepreneurship wasn't for him. But Thomas understood something that most people don't. He knew that each failure wasn't evidence that he should quit. It was education for his next attempt. Each failure taught him what didn't work. Each setback revealed a weakness he needed to strengthen. Each disappointment showed him a blind spot he needed to address. When Thomas started his 8th business, something was different. He wasn't starting from zero. He was starting with the accumulated wisdom of 7 failures. He knew what mistakes to avoid. He understood which strategies didn't work. He had developed the emotional resilience to handle setbacks without falling apart. That 8th business made Thomas a millionaire within 3 years. Not because he was lucky, not because the market conditions were better, but because he had trained his mind to see failure as feedback rather than as a reason to quit. He had developed what I call the persistent mind. The persistent mind has learned to love the process more than the outcome, while the quitter's mind focuses on how far they still have to go. The persistent mind celebrates how far they have already come, while the quitter's mind sees obstacles as evidence that they should stop. The persistent mind sees obstacles as proof that they are on the right path. Here's a crucial distinction. The persistent mind doesn't feel less pain than the quitter's mind. If anything, persistent people often feel the pain more acutely because they are more sensitive, more passionate, more invested in their dreams. But they have learned to interpret that pain differently. When a persistent person faces rejection, they don't think, I'm not good enough. They think, I haven't found the right person yet when they encounter an obstacle. They don't think this is impossible. They think, I need to get more creative. When they fail, they don't think, I should give up. They think, I'm getting closer to the solution. This shift in thinking is not about positive thinking or wishful thinking. It's about accurate thinking. Because the truth is, every person who has achieved anything worthwhile has faced the same doubts, the same fears, the same urge to quit that you are facing right now. The only difference is that they chose to interpret these experiences as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. The comfort zone is the most dangerous place you can live, because it feels so safe. Your quitter's mind loves the comfort zone. It will do everything it can to keep you there. It will remind you of every past failure, every harsh criticism, every reason why your dreams might not work out. But your persistent mind knows better. It knows that everything you want in life lives outside your comfort zone. It knows that growth only happens when you push beyond what feels easy and familiar. It knows that the discomfort you feel when pursuing your dreams is not a warning to stop. It's a signal that you are expanding, evolving, becoming the person you need to be to achieve what you want to achieve. Now that you understand the difference between the quitter's mind and the persistent mind, let me give you the practical framework that will transform you into someone who never gives up. I call these the 4 pillars of unshakable determination. Master these 4 pillars, and you will become virtually unstoppable in any area of your life. The first pillar is crystal clear: vision and purpose. You cannot persist at something you don't believe in deeply. You cannot keep going when you don't know why you're going. Most people quit because they lose sight of their why. They get so focused on the how, the obstacles, the difficulties, the setbacks, that they forget the why that started them on this path in the first place. Your vision must be so compelling that it pulls you through the darkest moments. It must be so clear that when doubt whispers in your ear, you can see your destination clearly enough to keep walking. Write down exactly what you want to achieve and why it matters to you. Not what others think you should want, but what burns inside your heart. This vision becomes your North Star when the storms of life try to blow you off course. The second pillar is systematic goal setting and tracking. Persistence without direction is just stubborn wandering. You need to break down your big vision into smaller, manageable goals that you can track and measure. Every goal must have a deadline. Every goal must be specific. Every goal must be written down. But here's the key that most people miss. You must track your progress daily. What gets measured gets done. When you measure your progress every single day, you see movement even when it feels like you're standing still. You create momentum even when the results aren't visible yet. You build confidence by proving to yourself that you are taking action, that you are moving forward, that you are making progress. The third pillar is continuous learning and adaptation. The person who never quits is not the person who never changes. Persistence is not about doing the same thing over and over, hoping for different results. That's not persistence, that's insanity. True persistence means being willing to adapt your methods while never giving up on your goals when something isn't working. The persistent person asks, what can I learn from this when they face an obstacle? They ask, how can I approach this differently? When they encounter failure, they ask, what skills do I need to develop? They treat every setback as a classroom and every mistake as a teacher. They understand that the path to their goals may change, but their commitment to reaching those goals never wavers. The fourth pillar is surrounding yourself with the right people. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. You cannot maintain a persistent mindset if you're surrounded by quitters. You cannot keep going when everyone around you is telling you to give up. You need mentors who have achieved what you want to achieve. You need peers who share your commitment to never quitting. You need supporters who believe in your dreams even when you have moments of doubt. These people become your external reinforcement system. They remind you of who you are when you forget. They encourage you to keep going when your own motivation falters. These four pillars work together like the legs of a table. Remove any one of them, and the whole structure becomes unstable. But when you have all four in place, clear vision, systematic goals, continuous learning, and the right people, you create an unshakable foundation for persistence. The person who never quits has made these four pillars non-negotiable. They review their vision regularly. They track their goals religiously. They learn from every experience. They choose their relationships carefully. This is not about perfection, it's about consistency. It's about making these pillars part of who you are, not just what you do. With your four pillars in place, you're ready to master the most powerful skill of persistent people, the ability to turn every obstacle into an opportunity. This is where ordinary persistence transforms into extraordinary achievement. This is where you stop being someone who simply endures difficulties and become someone who thrives because of them. The ancient Stoics had a phrase, the obstacle is the way. What they understood, and what every persistent person learns, is that obstacles are not roadblocks on the path to success. They are the path to success. Every obstacle you face is actually life asking you to become stronger, smarter, more creative, more determined. Think about it this way. If achieving your dreams were easy, everyone would have already done it. The obstacles you face are not accidents. They are the screening process. They separate those who really want it from those who only think they want it. They separate the committed from the merely interested. They separate those who will become extraordinary from those who will remain ordinary. When you change your relationship with obstacles, everything changes. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this teaching me? Instead of looking for ways around the obstacle, you start looking for ways to use the obstacle to become better. Instead of seeing setbacks as evidence that you should quit, you see them as proof that you are being prepared for something greater. Let me tell you about Jennifer, a single mother of two who lost her job during an economic downturn. She had no college degree, no savings, and bills piling up. Most people in her situation would have seen only obstacles. No money, no time, no resources, no support system. Jennifer saw something different. She saw an opportunity to finally start the business she had always dreamed about. She realized that having no money meant she would have to be creative. Having no time meant she would have to be efficient. Having no resources meant she would have to be resourceful. Having no support system meant she would have to build one. Jennifer started a home-based catering business with $50 and a dream. Every rejection taught her how to improve her pitch. Every criticism helped her refine her recipes. Every financial struggle forced her to become more innovative. Every sleepless night building her business was an investment in her children's future. Within 5 years, Jennifer had built a catering empire worth millions. She employed over 100 people, many of them single mothers like herself. But here's what's remarkable. Jennifer will tell you that losing her job was the best thing that ever happened to her. The obstacle that seemed like it would destroy her, this is the power of converting setbacks into comebacks. When you face rejection, you don't take it personally, you use it as market research. When you encounter criticism, you don't get defensive, you mine it for valuable feedback. When you experience failure, you don't give up, you extract the lessons and apply them to your next attempt. The persistent person has learned to build resilience through what I call controlled adversity. They don't wait for life to knock them down, they voluntarily put themselves in challenging situations. They seek out difficult projects, they take on stretch assignments. They enter competitions they might not win. Why? Because they understand that resilience is like a muscle. It only grows when you exercise it. This mindset transforms everything. Problems become puzzles to solve. Setbacks become setups for comebacks. Failures become feedback. Criticism becomes coaching. Obstacles become opportunities to demonstrate your commitment to never quitting. Now comes the moment of truth. Everything I've shared with you means nothing unless you take action. Knowledge without action is worthless. Understanding without implementation changes nothing. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if you don't apply what you've learned, you'll remain exactly where you are today. The person who never quits doesn't wait for the perfect moment to start. They don't wait until they feel ready. They don't wait until they have all the answers. They understand that clarity comes through action, not through thinking. They know that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is right now. So here's your action plan for becoming unstoppable. I want you to commit to what I call the 21-day persistence challenge. The next 21 days, you will practice being the person who never quits, not just in your big dreams, but in everything you do. You will train your persistence muscle until never quitting becomes as natural as breathing. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you read the news, before you do anything else, you will spend 10 minutes writing down your vision. Not just what you want to achieve, but why it matters to you. Not just your goals, but the person you will become by pursuing them. This daily practice will keep your why crystal clear when the how gets difficult. Every evening, before you go to sleep, you will spend 5 minutes reviewing your progress. You will write down 3 things you did that day that moved you closer to your goals. They don't have to be big things, they don't have to be perfect things. They just have to be forward-moving things. This practice will train your mind to see progress even when progress seems invisible. But here's the most important part of your action plan. You will choose one area of your life where you have been thinking about quitting, and you will make a commitment to keep going for at least 90 more days. Maybe it's a business you've been struggling to build. Maybe it's a skill you've been trying to learn. Maybe it's a relationship you've been trying to repair. Maybe it's a health goal you've been trying to achieve. whatever it is, you will not quit for 90 days. You will apply everything you've learned. You will use the 4 pillars. You will turn obstacles into opportunities. You will measure your progress. You will adapt your methods. You will surround yourself with people who support your commitment to never quit. And here's what will happen during those 90 days. You will prove to yourself that you are stronger than you think. You will develop new skills you didn't know you could learn. You will find solutions to problems that seemed impossible. You will become the person who never quits. Not just in theory, but in reality. Let me tell you one final story that will show you the true power of never quitting. There was a man named William who worked as a janitor at a small company. Every day he swept floors, emptied trash cans, and cleaned bathrooms. It wasn't glamorous work, but William had a dream. He wanted to become a computer programmer. The problem was, William had never been to college. He had no technical background. He was 45 years old. Everyone told him he was too old to start a new career. Everyone said he should be realistic. Everyone suggested he should be grateful for the job he had. But William had learned something that most people never learn. Other people's opinions about your dreams are not facts. They are just opinions. And the opinion that matters most is the one you have about yourself. So William made a decision. Every morning, before his shift started, he would spend 1 hour learning to code. Every evening, after work, he would practice for another hour. On weekends, he would study for 4 hours each day. He bought used programming books. He watched free online tutorials. He practiced coding problems until his fingers were sore. For months, nothing seemed to happen. The code looked like gibberish. The problems seemed impossible. The progress felt invisible. William's family thought he was wasting his time. His friends said he was being unrealistic. His own mind whispered that maybe he should give up. But William had made a commitment to never quit. He kept studying. He kept practicing. He kept believing that persistence would pay off, even when he couldn't see any evidence that it would. After 1 year of daily practice, something clicked. The code started making sense. The problems became solvable. The progress became visible. William built his first simple program, then his second, then his third. He created a portfolio of projects. He applied for entry-level programming positions. After 57 rejections, William got his first job as a junior programmer. At 46 years old, he had completely transformed his life. But that's not the end of the story. 5 years later, William became a senior software engineer. 10 years later, he started his own technology company. 15 years later, that company employed over 500 people and generated millions in revenue. The janitor who refused to quit had become a successful entrepreneur. But here's the most beautiful part of William's story. He never forgot where he came from. Every year, his company offers full scholarships to people over 40 who want to learn new skills. Every year. He mentors dozens of people who think they're too old, too inexperienced, or too disadvantaged to change their lives. William's refusal to quit didn't just change his own life. It changed the lives of thousands of other people who learned that it's never too late to start over, never too late to learn something new, never too late to become the person you were meant to be. This is the ripple effect of persistence. When you become the person who never quits, you give everyone around you permission to never quit either. Your determination becomes contagious. Your persistence becomes inspiring. Your refusal to give up becomes a beacon of hope for everyone who is struggling with their own mountains to climb. So I ask you now, what would your life look like if you never quit again? What dreams would you pursue if you knew that persistence would eventually pay off? What goals would you set if you believed that obstacles were just opportunities in disguise? What person would you become if you committed to keep going no matter what. The world needs people who never quit. The world needs people who keep going when everyone else stops. The world needs people who turn obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into comebacks, and failures into lessons. The world needs people like William, like Jennifer, like Thomas. The world needs people like you. Your time is now. Your moment is here. The person you were meant to become is waiting for you to stop quitting and start becoming. The dreams you've been carrying in your heart are not there by accident. They are there because you have the power to make them real. Make the commitment today. Decide right now that you will be the person who never quits. Your future self is counting on the decision you make in this moment. Your family is counting on it. The world is counting on it. Never quit, never give up, never surrender. Because the person who never quits is the person who changes everything, starting with themselves.